Thesis creation is critical to help set a groundwork or parameters around your investments. Okay, so what is an investment thesis? Effectively, it is a core outlook that guides and grounds your investment decisions. So, give you an idea of what an investment thesis could be. Bitcoin will become the new global reserve standard as hyperinflation collapses fiat, or Bitcoin will overtake gold's market cap for its superior qualities as a store of value. Alternatively, one could be Ethereum will serve as the world's computer, its smart contracts enabling decentralized apps that fuel a revolution in decentralized products and services, or Ethereum will capture 5% of legacy financial markets with its DApp infrastructure powering programmable money. Now, when you are constructing a thesis, it's important to keep a couple of things in mind. Now, for one, you want to maintain a macro view and associate a time horizon on it. Now, reason for this simply being you could be right and you could be wrong. So, take for instance, timing, basically. There's a lot of people who will cite that in the early part of the internet revolution, the internet age back in the late 90s, early 2000s, you had companies that were trying to do a lot of different innovative things like deliver food, provide ride sharing. You had different companies attempt it with the power of the internet behind it, but the timing was wrong. Most of those companies, if not all of them, failed, and then it took a couple of decades after the fact for it to really catch on in the likes of things like Uber or DoorDash, what have you. So a time horizon is important. If you would have made an investment thesis based on that type of application possibility stemming from the internet as a backbone base layer, but your time horizon was 2 years back in 1990, well, you were wrong. But if the time horizon was 20 years or 30 years, you would have been right. So time horizons and a macro view. Now, the other thing you want to keep in mind is market potential and market trends. So similar thing there, a market is going to mature over time. What happens when a new technology or any sort of innovation is initially introduced is not necessarily an indication of where it can wind up. You look at AOL, dial-up, there's not a logical conclusion that you go from that to something like TikTok, even though they're built on top of the same underlying foundation, that being the internet. Now, you also want to leverage fundamentals that can reveal sentiment. So the point about Ethereum serving as the world's computer, its smart contract, enabling DApps to fuel a revolution in decentralized products and services. That shows sentiment. You can measure that by going to something like DeFi Pulse or DeFi Llama and looking at how much value is locked up inside of these various DeFi protocols. And if that number continues to grow over time, well, one can use that as a proxy measurement for the sentiment increasing in terms of people feeling more comfortable using decentralized applications and DeFi applications, as well as people just putting their money where their mouth is, and thus the total value locked in those protocols increasing over time. Now, you also want to build this thesis on top of quantifiable milestones that can be demonstrated with the technical data. So, Bitcoin will overtake gold's market cap. Gold's market cap, you can take the measurement of that, which I believe is about $10 trillion. I could be wrong, right? But let's just say theoretically it's $10 trillion. Well, if Bitcoin is worth $1 trillion, then it's gotten 10% of that market cap of gold. If Bitcoin hits $5 trillion, then it's at 50% of it. And so as you can gauge that technical number, that quantifiable data, it can give you an indication of, okay, how close is Bitcoin to capturing the market cap of gold? As that number increases, that thesis becomes more and more validated or vindicated, if that makes sense.